Welcome Frank and welcome Brian to Milan. Welcome to Frontiers Rock Festival and welcome to Linea Rock.
Yeah.
Great to have you here. Okay, so this is the first time that you headline a show in Italy at the Frontiers Rock Festival, which is your label's festival. It's in Italy. I know you are half Italian, Frank, if I'm correct.
That's right, he is too.
Okay, perfect. So, does this mean a lot to you, as it means, you know, for us to have you here tonight and headlining finally in Italy?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how passionate everybody is for the music, and you know, our friends at Frontiers are very passionate about Tesla, and it's just great to be working with people like that.
Great. A brand new album, Simplicity, is about to be released next 6th June. And it brings back the pure classic, more bluesy Tesla sound. What is the most new and which is the most classical element in the album? How can you introduce it to the diehard fans?
Well, I think you're right, in a sense of that this record, we really put ourselves into it more than our previous record.
Yes.
In a sense of, you know, we went away to write it, and it's kind of like the old days where on the first album, you know, we would write the music and then the singer Jeff and myself would stay up and work on the lyrics.
Okay.
And that's how we wrote this one. So it's getting back to our roots in the approach of the way we made the record, as far as the writing goes.
Okay.
Writing the music first and then working on the lyrics together and putting it all together. Whereas, you know, on our previous records we had a little bit of trouble doing that because we were distracted at home.
Okay. So 6 years break from recording, since you've done tours and things, but is a long time for a band. Was it due to creativity matters, or it has something to do with how, you know, the music industry is going now? It has changed drastically in the last, let's say, 15 years. And as you also expose in the song MP3, you talk about that, and also the title Simplicity tries to go back to the roots, and so was that a break? I mean, for
it had nothing to do with the music.
Okay.
I think, you know, Jeff had a son.
All right.
So that took some time for him to, you know, have a son. Dave had a son, and then we just had to find time from touring to take a break and go write songs. But it really was. I mean, you say it was 6 years, but we did release something in between with 2 new songs.
Yeah, with the acoustic.
The acoustic thing. So that was kind of when Jeff just had his baby.
All right.
And Dave. So I think the delay was probably, you know, the fact that people were having kids, and you know, when you're having a child, it's hard to focus on writing lyrics.
For sure.
So.
Into the Now and Forevermore albums have a more modern approach in the sound. Do you still think they were the right move at the right moment, or not?
Even though they sound more modern, it's still 100% Tesla. You know, there's still ballads on there. There's still acoustic guitars. The only thing that was modern maybe was the approach of just making the songs sound more aggressive.
Yes.
With the sonics, but the basic elements of Tesla are still very alive in those albums.
I mean, it's the difference. If you take Simplicity, it mirrors more mechanical resonance.
Yeah.
If you take Forevermore and Into the Now, it mirrors more Great Radio Controversy, which was more produced, right?
We did more overdubs on those records.
Yeah. But, you know, it's still the same guy. Well, Forevermore was. Obviously, Tommy Skew was on now. I think, you know, we just, like Frank says, it was the thing with the sonics, you know, making it sound, or we did more overdubs. It was more polished, and, you know, hence the title Simplicity, which was more back to basics. You know, like on my bass tracks, if there was nothing wrong when we were playing live, I didn't go in and fix them.
Okay.
You know, I just left them. Where, say on Forevermore, we'd do a basic track, get the drums, and then I'd play again to that.
And replace everything.
Replace. Where this time we left a lot of what we cut in the original track, like we did on Mechanical Resonance.
Yeah, and it is true. When the minute you go back and replace what you did from the original performance with the band live, it takes out a certain spirit of something. It's hard to describe. There's no word that really describes what that is, good or bad, whether it's imperfect or whatever. There's a spirit in there that as soon as you replace your track, it changes. So on this record, we decided to put Dave's guitar on the left, my guitar on the right, and keep it, and Brian's guitar up, the bass up the middle, and record live with the band and keep as much of that intact as possible to retain the spirit that happens when the group is playing together.
Also, I think, too, this record, we had the songs written, a lot of the songs written before we went in the studio. And Into the Now and Forevermore were created in the studio. And I think that has a little bit to do with it. Look, I don't have a preference to either way, me personally. I like doing like we did this record. I like creating something in the studio. So I think there is a difference, and that's what it's attributed to.
Okay.
And I think that difference really shows with Jeff, the singer. You know, he really needs to have his lyrics prepared first before he goes into the studio. That way, when he's in the studio recording,
and also the melodies,
more confident, and more, you have a blueprint to follow.
Sure.
So, you know, the writing of the album is the most important part. The playing and the singing is the easiest part.
Okay.
We can do that in our sleep. We can go in a studio and play, and it's going to sound pretty good. But it's the material prepared ahead of time is the most important, and that's what we did on this record.
And I also saw that you, Frank, and Dave are also credited as bass players. Sometimes you switch instruments. That happens in the studio.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Well, Dave played bass on Life's a River, and I played piano.
We played piano, so we could keep it live, you know?
Sure.
And on
Sympathy. I play bass on one part of it. But it's only because it's got a weird kind of thing that was kind of unusual.
It was a thing he played on the demo.
All right.
Right, that Jeff really liked.
Okay.
So I just said, well, he really likes the way you played it.
So
you play it. Because I don't care, you know.
And that's what the Beatles used to do.
Sure.
Aerosmith, Rolling Stones, Brian May and Queen, all those guys, all of those bands used to take turns on their instruments.
Sure.
And so there's nothing wrong with that. It's really cool. Brian plays the piano on a lot of things. There's one song where Dave even plays a few piano.
All right.
You know? And Brian writes a lot of the songs on guitar.
So,
you know, and I'm learning his guitar parts.
Okay.
We don't have ego problems.
No, and then sometimes I'll write a song on the bass, and Brian will learn my bass.
And that's what happened with Sympathy. Because he had this bass line.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was like, I'm not going to play it the same way you do. He liked it. You play it. I don't care.
The main important thing is it's still the five of us.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing something else, you know, like saying, hey, do this, you know, we all contribute. So it wasn't like I got arthritis so I couldn't play it or nothing. You know, and he still plays the part better than I do.
And you know, and Brian plays guitar and I'll play parts that he writes. So it's all a fair game with the team, you know.
All right. So Tesla has always been a blazing guitars-driven band with powerful and unique sound based on the guitars. How did it change, especially for you, Frank, all the dynamics in composition and sharing parts between Tommy and Dave?
It's basically the same, if not better. Dave reminds me of how it was in the beginning with Tommy, when it was positive and we had fun with each other. There was a time in the beginning of our career where Tommy and I had this automatic magic where we didn't even have to decide who plays what. It was just automatic because we loved and respected each other.
Sure.
As that went away, over time it turned into a competition and it got really ugly and there was a lot of jealousy or animosity with him. It wasn't fun anymore. When Dave came into the picture, it was like going back to the beginning and having a guy who respected me and I respected him, and it's automatic. When two guitar players like Dave and myself, or like Tom and I were in the beginning, or maybe like Dwayne Allman and Dickie Betts were, or Joe Perry and Pat Woodford, when they play off of each other, they don't even have to really talk about it. It's just automatic. One guy plays one part and the other guy, and they weave in and out.
Yes.
And it's just automatic magic.
Plus, you have two strong and in some sense different personalities, so you can tell who plays what, and you complete yourself.
Like, now that I'm older, I tend to play a lot slower now, and I play more melodic. And Dave is the fret burning guy now.
Sure.
Where in the old days I was the fret burner and Tommy was more the slow player.
Yeah,
so it's kind of cool, man. I really enjoy it. Me personally, I like to write solos that I can whistle and sing every note and play them the same every night. Where it's almost like a song within the song. My style has developed into that,
So you split around 95, 96 for the first time.
A little vacation.
Vacation, okay. And around 2005 you had again some problems within the band.
Yeah.
What did you learn from these two strong experiences?
Some people you just can't reach.
You can sand the wood, but the grain won't change.
Okay.
We tried really, really hard to make that work, but
it didn't.
It's better off that.
I think he's happier as well.
Okay.
I hope he is.
So the family feeling is very important for you.
Well, you can have a group in anything, and it only takes one person to mess up the feeling.
Sure. About the early days, you stated once, we wanted to get signed and we thought the way to do that was to write a hit single. Is it something you can learn or simply happen, that to have it by DNA, the fact of being able to write, hit singles, and you just have to understand how you have to bring out this talent?
It's both. I mean, some people are naturally gifted to write songs and have melodies, but it is a craft. It's a craft, and you have to practice it.
It's like going to the gym, like Martin Rose said.
Yep.
You go to the gym, you want your muscles to get big, you got to work out and lift weights.
Yes.
Songwriting's the same way. You got to work at it to get good at it.
All right.
And usually it's the skill of learning what to leave out than what to put in.
Yeah.
Because usually the best songs have less stuff in them than more.
Okay. Five-Man Acoustical Jam CD was the mighty precursor of the unplugged phenomenon.
We've been accused of it.
Yes. Are you still proud of it?
Oh, yeah.
And of everything happened next? I mean, that
Sure, yeah. It was an accident, really. I mean, we were just doing it for fun, and people liked it, and it worked out.
Could you predict, imagine, the big success that it could have?
Not at all.
Not at all.
It was completely by surprise.
A complete fluke.
It had, an enormous impact in the music
business. It wasn't
business.
calculated. We didn't sit there and plan it.
It was purely an accident, and
How did it happen?
it happened by convenience, really. We were playing acoustic guitars at radio stations just for doing interviews, and we did the song Signs just because it's a good song, and people started liking it, and we had some time off, and our manager wanted to fill in some dates, so we just did it for fun, and every time we did it, it got a great response. So we decided to record it. And thank God we did, because that was the luckiest night of our life.
The rest is history, as they say.
And that wasn't even the best show. The one that's on the record wasn't the best show.
Well, I can imagine the other one.
Like New York was pretty good.
Yeah, and there was one in San Francisco we did, from BAM Magazine sponsored it, and we did it, and It was one of Peter Minch's ideas, and Peter Minch is a brilliant manager. And him and Cliff Bernstein had a great, management team, and they were our managers at the time, and they gave us great ideas.
Peter kind of challenged us. He said, what happened was this, when Great Radio Controversy came out, we won a BAM Music Award, Bay Area Music Award.
Yeah.
And we'd been on tour for a year or whatever, and something happened with gear, they wanted us to play, and we didn't have
our equipment.
So we went and we just played Love Song with acoustic guitars.
Yes.
And a woman saw it in the crowd that owned this club.
And she thought it was great.
And she wrote a letter to Peter Minch and said, would your band Tesla, I saw him at the BAM Awards, be interested in playing an hour and a half long set acoustically? So Peter came in and he said, you guys want to do it? And our initial reaction was no. And he said, well, I bet you can't. I bet you're not good enough. So we said, fuck you. and we put together that. And that's true. That's a true story.
Yeah.
He challenged us. But he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
He knew if he told us we couldn't do it, we'd prove him wrong.
Great. And the fact of having the double solo in Love Song, first acoustical and then electric, in that Philadelphia show, it's very genuine and spontaneous, the fact that you jump and throw the mic off. And was that something that you did every night, or it was special that night?
No, that was part of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, we thought of that at the last minute. I think maybe it was Jeff, our singer, said to me, hey, why don't you just surprise everybody and pick up the electric?
Yes.
So I tried it and it worked.
Great.
A lot of, again, it was another accident, It's just, sometimes you stumble on accidents and they work, and so you keep doing it.
Yeah, sure. Picking the songs to cover for the reel-to-reel records was more difficult or easier than it is to prepare a set list for a Tesla gig like the one you're doing tonight at the Frontiers Rock Festival?
We spent a lot of time picking songs on that. We would practice them at sound checks, and sometimes you would name a song and you would think it would work, but then you'd try it and it didn't sound good.
Okay.
So, yeah, we spent a long time preparing that.
People always ask us, ask me why we never did a Queen song. So we couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, that's it.
We tried messing around to Keep Yourself Alive.
It was not possible.
It was like, so Frank's right. We played them, and the ones that fit, they worked, and that's what we did. We tried lots of different songs.
We spent a year trying songs on that record. A lot of thought went into it.
And who compiles the set for, the gigs? Usually Frank? Okay.
Frank.
Yeah.
You're in charge of it. Okay.
And it's basically, there's this formula that's, you want to have 70% hits, 20% new songs, and then maybe 10% deep tracks,
So Love Song, which we already mentioned, is in my personal opinion, is one of the best power ballads ever in rock, if not the best. It's simply perfect, immediate, very genuine, deep. It's an eternal song, never dies.
Wow,
grows in you and very intense. Goes straight to your heart and your soul. That's my opinion. Which is, in your opinion, the absolute Tesla masterpiece? Do you agree with me, or you have a different song?
Oh gosh. Love Song. I think Modern Day Cowboy is pretty epic in the sense that the lyrics still reflect today with terrorism going on, and almost 30 years later, we can still relate to those lyrics. And I think the guitar parts in that song were a great collaboration between Tommy and myself. I think Paradise is a beautifully arranged arrangement. What You Give, same thing. Yeah.
Song and emotional, yes. Very last question for today. Okay, so you had a strong success in America, and your fan base always grew through the years.
Yeah.
But still, considering the high musical value of Tesla, you remain one of the most unfairly underrated acts in hard rock. Looking back, would you rewrite this story exactly the same as it was, or inside, in retrospect, would you change something in these 30 years?
I'd leave. Because I would rather be here 30 years later than have had a huge record and not be here today.
Okay.
Yeah, no regrets, man. I mean, everything that we've been through, we've learned, and we're in a great place today. We have a new record that we're really happy with. You know, we're in complete control of what we do, and
That is.
I would not change it for a world.
I'm going to bring it tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks very much, and hope to
Okay.
see you soon.